You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
From kitchen chaos to well-oiled machines, get ready for newfangled technology and old-school know-how. Stories and a good bit of fun. I'm Simon, and this is Culinary Mechanic. Joining me today is Jesus Mendez. Jesus, let's go with Chuy, shall we?
Let's go with
Welcome to
Chuy.
Culinary Mechanic. So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, man. As we were talking and warming up, I looked a little sideways and I said, Birmingham, Alabama. It's not what I was expecting, but damn it, I'm so happy to meet you. Like, what you're doing down there seems to be amazing. I think we just got to find out the Batman Begins story on it. So tell me how
Yeah.
you got into the industry, bro.
Okay. Well, the best way that I describe it is almost like just life decisions and then the opportunities that I had to put myself into, with the right people, with the right places, with the right partnerships. And what most people don't know is that I actually don't come from like a healthy family household. My parents separated when I was 11, and I grew up with my mother all through my teens, and my dad, who is with me now, actually left me when I was 12. So my dad,
Oh,
when my parents separated, he just left and he just disappeared until I was like 26, 25. But growing up with my mother, especially here in the South, I always grew up thinking that I was gonna be like buying and selling cars at car dealerships. I wanted to own my own car lot one day, and obviously that didn't happen. My mom went through a rough stage in life, and so she ended up going back to Mexico. So she's actually back in Tabasco, Mexico, as we speak. And ended up having another relationship, and now I have a half sister there. So I still speak with her and take care of them. But that happened right when I was 2021. And because my mom was, in a sense, not to be funny, was like my roommate. I just always had to take care of her. And so her leaving kind of let me in a place of like, I got to go out there in life and figure it out. Right.
right.
So the first restaurant that I applied at told me no and a little bit discouraged. And then it was Frontera Grill in Hoover, Alabama. And then the second restaurant was Margarita Grill, who is still there, is a Tex-Mex restaurant in Pelham, Alabama. And Mr. Javier Jerez just gave me the opportunity with zero experience, zero knowledge of food, but he loved the fact that I was this witty, talkative, and that I spoke English. And so he just told me to come back later that afternoon, and I started off as a server, and
Oh, wow.
and that's why I got the nickname Chuy as well, because the general manager there was called Jesus. And so there was just a lot of conflict of which Jesus was who and who was he talking to. So they gave me the nickname Chuy. This industry, especially with Javier at Margarita Grill for 2010 all the way to 2015, where it's been everywhere I've been at has been like a building block to who I am now. And what Javier and his brother and his company there really taught me was just a lot of leadership roles, because I eventually became one of his main managers, and my ability to just expand my willingness to take care of people, because at the end of the day we're salesmen, right? Doesn't matter if I sell a ribeye or if I sell peanuts. You have to love people in order to get your product across. And so for the 5 years that I was there with them, I just learned how to engage with my team, how to grow in the community, how to network, how to love more people, and how I learned that I had like a servant's heart. And I hope it doesn't rain on me. But I learned that I had like a servant's heart, and I just knew that I wanted to be in the hospitality business moving forward. I did have a little bit of entrepreneurship in my blood trying to come out, because I dreamed of one day owning a restaurant at 23, 24 years old. Life happened, man. Got married, got divorced, lost my job, my work ethic went down the drain. I admit my work ethic went down the drain. I was just really in a bad space, and business goes on as usual, man. You understand this? They ended up getting demoted, and obviously I just, in a sense, got let go. And then in 2015ish, 16ish, I got called up to go work at a more fine dining Mexican restaurant here in Birmingham.
Nice.
And they found out that I just was out looking for a job because, of course, you know, the community's still here kind of small, but when you're good, people notice. And the managers there were like, "Hey, man, you want to come and join our team as a server?" I'm like, "Sure." You know, like, it's just a new community, new people, a new city. I took it, and I'm really glad that I took it. And I came to Casino Superior. They're no longer in business, and we can touch on that subject later if you want to know why. But I was there with them for about 2.5 years, right? And same thing happened. I got my work at the back end. I clicked in. I learned how to bartend better. I learned a new side of like the Birmingham networking scene and people. When I got into the kitchen to train and learn the entrees, I'm like, oh man, like this is a whole different like level of Mexican food that I've never seen before, because Tex-Mex going to fine dining Mexican was two completely different worlds. Still rice
Whole
and
different
beans,
game.
brother.
Yep.
Still rice and beans, but different world. And I'm like, oh man, you know, and they taught me how to make homemade flour tortillas, corn tortillas, how to cook steaks and oysters, grow some oysters. The bar program was a little bit better, so I actually learned how to like make an old fashioned finally, and same thing, same situation. My entrepreneurial spirit and my managing spirit of growth came in, and I knocked on that door of opportunity to see if they would let me be the GM of the restaurant in 2017. And they shut me down, telling me that I was too young and I didn't have any experience.
Right.
So I quit, put my 2 weeks notice in. And I'm like, hey, thank you for the opportunity, but I can't be in a place where there's no growth. And I'm 36 years old now, about to be 37. But at 29, man, when that happened, I decided to take a step backwards. And I went to go work at Taco Mama, which is like your typical, I want to build my bowl. It's like it's like a more family oriented Chipotle. All right.
Okay. Okay.
And I ended up being that cash register. Hey, welcome to Taco Mama. What can I get you? Okay, repeat the order, just run the food, do all those things. And at 29, it wasn't where I wanted to be, man. I felt very discouraged and defeated. But then something happened. My name got across Frank Stitt and Party Stitt over at Highlands Bottega and Chez Fonfon. And if you're not familiar, Frank Stitt has won 3 James Beards.
Oh wow.
Best outstanding restaurant in 2010, won best chef of the South, won best chef Southeast, won pastry chef, like legit, legit
Right.
chef. Did my screen go away? Oh,
No,
oh.
you're good. You're
Um,
good.
and I got that phone call if I was interested in working in their organization. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I had no fucking clue who Frank Stitt was. You know, I'm like, so I'm like, so I had to Google him, and I'm like, what is this? And then I really sat and I thought about it, and I'm like, this is my way out of the Mexican scene. Like, this is my way out to like go and learn fine dining and learn systems and structure and knowledge and be with people that make me feel uncomfortable and for growth, man. And I took it, brother. Like, I worked with this company for about 4 or 5 months until I finally got my vest and my suit, because you got to train and get your test done. And I ended up quitting Taco Mama, but little did I know that the time that I was at Taco Mama, I learned everything. I just received all the information without thinking that it was beneficial. But Taco Mama, I'll explain later, is a big, working for that organization taught me a lot about systems and structure, like we talked earlier.
Right.
And but with Frank, man, and his company, now I can look at cheese, grab it, smell it, taste it. Now I can look at wine, close one nostril, smell it, figure out what grapes are all. I can be like a mid sommelier. I can look at fruits and vegetables and fall in love with them and like grab a tomato, eat it ripe or unripe and be like, okay, I can use it for this sauce or for un guisado instead or for a garnish. Or I just working with such a high standard culinary chef like him, executive chef like him, just really opened that door of curiosity for me, right?
Changes things, right?
Changes
It changes how you do everything.
everything. And
Yeah.
then working in fine dining and having people freaking $500-$600 bar tabs or ticket tabs, or you're like, what? You know, I was used to selling $50-$60 tabs. And I just didn't know that there was that type of money behind food.
Right.
And so how the rest happened was is that once again my name got tossed around, and then a local food hall here in Birmingham, Alabama, they're still open. We're looking for a new owner operator for a bar program that they had there, and they were willing to make me a partner. And they did. I interviewed and I got the position. My time with the Stits was small, but it was enough for me to build my confidence and my knowledge and grow. And I took over the Lewis Bar, the Business Food Hall in 2018, right at 30 years old. Then after that, and thankfully during that time, my dad was coming back into the picture again after
Nice.
my divorce. And I saw an opportunity just to do my first little taco spot with my stepmom now and my father, and we called it Unos Tacos. And we have like a little mini Tex-Mex taco spot in the food hall. And then I went off and I did other ventures like Adios Cocktail Bar with Jose Medina. Um, then I went off and I attempted the franchise opportunities with Honest Coffee out of Nashville. That did not work out well, but I learned. And then this last exactly a year and a half ago, I just went up to my parents and I'm like, I have this vision, I have this idea of just doing a very modern, high quality, hospitable, well branded taqueria. Like this is what I want to serve. This is how I want to serve it. These are the meats that I've learned how to make and the sauces and the recipes that I have, and I want y'all to teach me the rest. And I'm blessed to say that my mom and my dad have not given up on me, and they're probably responsible for like 60% of my menu. And they've taught me it all. They've taught it all to me. And now I teach my kitchen leads to follow the process and the systems and the recipes. And we're consistent as hell, you know, and people
That's amazing.
love Salud, and we're doing extremely well.
That's sweet.
Mhm.
All through that story, the one thing that kept coming back to me is like this curious, like growth mindset. Just
Mhm.
never stopping being curious. I absolutely love that. It's one of those things I don't feel like you can teach somebody, right?
Mhm.
Like you're either born asking questions going, why? Right? Like my
Yeah.
4-year-old nephew, like he's sitting at the dinner table and he goes, why? Why?
Yeah.
It's an endurance test, right? It's like,
Mhm.
can you last with more answers than he can say why?
Yeah.
Or and it's wonderful. But
Mhm.
for me being like the lifelong chef, right? Like I started
Mhm.
cooking in 1989, bro.
Whoa. Yeah.
You know, like
I was born right
and it
before
was
that.
New Mexican food, like in
Mhm.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. So for me, it was like, wait, what's that? Like my
Mhm.
first restaurant job, or my first few restaurant jobs were pretty small little places. And then all of a sudden I went to like a big hotel and I was like, well, what's that? And how do you do that?
Mhm.
And why, and the chef was like, well, come here, I'll show you. And the more
Yeah.
questions I would ask, the more he would teach. And I was like, is it really this easy? I just ask a question and I get taught. No,
Yeah.
it's not, by the way.
Oh.
Not all life is that way, but like, yeah, that feeling of like curiosity and just growing. I absolutely I commend you for like never letting that go because that's how we as food people, as hospitality people, culinarians, whatever you want to say, as restaurant people, like that's how we continue to find what's next for us is to just continue to ask questions and grow.
Yeah.
So one of the things you said right at the end here was like you guys have been super consistent and it's because of the systems and the structures. I'd just love to hear like what are some of those systems lessons that like really have stuck with you? Like what makes your operation really tick?
I'm gonna go to answer that with culture.
Okay.
And selling the vision, and then also giving the credit when it's due. So bringing all those three together, I empower my staff to follow the protocols. But if they don't feel like any sort of reward, at least visually or verbally, or if they don't see a line out the door, then they're not going to follow it. But
Right.
when I tell them, hey, after the shift we did this right, where I told my kitchen, hey, someone said put me inside and told me that the food was delicious, I'll be like, hey, actually, I made the recipes, but I didn't cook that steak taco. Nacho did. And I do have a Nacho in my place too. Nazario, ven pa acá.
Nice.
And I'll give him the credit. And you're talking about a small Chapaneco man who's 29 years old who just learned how to cook with me 2 years ago. So, and when I pull
Nice.
him out, I'm like, hey man, this man wants to say how great your rice and beans are today. They respect it and they fall in love even more with the vision.
Right.
And because at first, like example, my mom and my dad are very just agarra con la mano, tíralo, like un manazo de esto, un puño de esto. Until one day, um, when we first, like the first month that we opened up Salud, I was in there making suadero, and he was in there making suadero, and then someone else was making suadero because we were just rotating the 6 a.m. shift, right?
Right.
And then every damn time, my dad's suadero just tasted better. Mine never came out the way. And then Ignacio's never came out the way. I mean, Asario's never came out the way. And we're just like, what in the world is going on? Right. And I finally pulled my dad aside. I'm like, hey, can you try my suadero? And he's like, oh, it's not good. I'm like, I know it's not good. What is the recipe? And he gives it to me. And I'm like, but it doesn't taste what you're telling me. And I ask him, Dad, are you giving me the full recipe? And he was just like, he got quiet. He's like, no. Why aren't you giving me the full recipe? My stuff is not coming out the way that it needs to be. And he was like, well, typical, very, my dad's 60 years old now. He's very machismo, protective. It's like, we can't write the recipes down in a cookbook. They're going to come and take the recipes and this and that. And I'm like, are you freaking serious right now? He was like, yeah. Father, how do you want me to scale and how do you want me to be successful if we can't trust our employees and if we can't actually like work together to have a true system of a book telling us how to do these right recipes? If one day a food editor comes in and everybody's screaming that the suadero is delicious and then I make it and it's not, we're inconsistent off the bat. And
Right.
so I think for me it goes just go back, sorry for yapping, but it goes back to selling them the vision of we're doing something special. People are enjoying our like Mexican soul food. That's what someone like described it recently.
Yeah.
But in order to keep sharing the story and in order to get to the second store or I want to get to like a more modern Mexican restaurant soon. In order to get there, we have to perfect the systems here. So when we step away, everybody's following protocols, the recipes and systems. But
Yeah.
they have to believe in the vision.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
uh, I I tell my clients on a regular basis, you've got to tell them what's important to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because here's how I know that. I've been married 25 years and my wife still can't figure out what's in my brain. So you got to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right?
Yeah. I
Like
can
we
read your
can't
mind,
crawl
baby.
on
Yeah.
each other's heads. It doesn't work, right? Like we're not the
Hmm.
X-Men. We can't do this
Yeah.
like magic little thing. So
Mhm.
like you got to communicate like this is important to me. Whatever this
Exactly.
is, whether it's beans, rice, or little, whether it's that little that goes in that
Hmm.
little thing that
Hmm.
goes in there, it's got to be documented, man.
It
I
has to.
tell I was telling an owner recently, I was like, hey man, if this is if it's important to you that like this side of the counter is clean all the time, then like how do I know that if I work for you? Oh, well,
Yeah.
I tell you. I'm like, no. No,
No.
you that's part of it, right? Like you got to tell me, but you also got to like it needs to be written down somewhere so that
Hmm.
like if you get hit by a truck, like it's still important that that counter is clean. You know, all the
Exactly.
little things that are like the day-to-day legacy that really breed the big legacy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it, man. It's so funny that I say systems and the first word out of your mouth is culture, which just makes me so happy because it's like
Hmm.
when people understand that having a system and repeating it daily breeds culture, right? Like
Hmm.
that becomes I mean, that becomes the way, right?
Yeah.
Like you can be jokey and think about the Mandalorian and go, this is the way. But it's
This
like,
is
it's
the
that,
way.
yeah, this is the way. Like,
It
this is
is
how we
the
do it.
way.
And
Last week I had a new health department, Miss Lisa Hodgins, sweetheart, go into my other taco shop and just literally rip me a new one with things that I didn't know about. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, and she gave me grace, still gave me a 94 out of 100. I grabbed it with everything that I learned and I ran right back to my other spot. And I'm like, I call
oh,
all my kitchen leads and I'm just like, why isn't that done? Why isn't that done? Why isn't that done? And I had to pull them out and they all saw that I was upset, but I was like, I'm not speaking because I'm mad at you. I'm upset because just like y'all now follow recipes and do everything perfectly, y'all think that not filling up that napkin dispenser or the soap dispenser or leaving a napkin on the table doesn't matter. It does matter. It absolutely matters. And I need you to be as passionate about picking up that piece of paper off the floor or putting up the napkins as much as I am, because when you take care of all the small pieces, everything else is easy, my friend. And the
right,
last thing I want is for the health department to come in, doesn't see me, and they don't know how to communicate or how to yap their way out of a hole. So, but
right,
just follow the systems and I told them, I'm like, I don't want to be a smart ass, Sebastian. I'm like, but when you go brush your teeth and there's no more paste in the toothpaste, do you still keep squeezing it and then fake brush your teeth? Or do you go look for another one, another toothpaste? I go look for another toothpaste. That's how I want you to feel when you run out of napkins. Go look for another napkin dispenser, fill it back up again. Don't leave it alone, you know, because we'll lose a point if health department walks on the wrong day. So
right,
it's just holding them accountable, but also convincing them that I'm passionate about that napkin dispenser, even though it
right.
sounds crazy.
Totally. But
Yeah.
that's important to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it becomes is
Mm-hmm.
if when they understand what's important, whether it's to you or to the company, or I mean, I work for some pretty large corporations, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is important. Like,
Mm-hmm.
us being fiscally responsible was important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not wasting any money and making sure that like it was going to the bottom line, right? Because that's business. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as I was doing my homework, um, you were talking about like your restaurants, your businesses being hospitality focused and community driven. Give me a picture of what that really like turns into on a day to day in your businesses.
On the hospitality side of it, I always gotta check myself. You know, I have a really good team and I have a good owner operator at Salud right now that we always bounce back and forth. Hey, how are you feeling? Are you in the right mindset? Because we all go through life. We all have life together, right?
Yep.
And so I try and take care of my body, just drinking a lot of water like you are and on runs, drinking my coffee, just locking in and then just going into the restaurant. I I make sure that every new concept that I do is hospitable in the sense of I want my guests to come in and experience something that retains them either through my product, through my team, or myself. It doesn't matter if I sell a ribeye, a bottle of Chablis, or a hot dog. I always try and engage with guests so that they can love with who they can fall in love with how and who I am. And I try and showcase that with my team members so that they can get some of the spotlight when I'm not there either. But I'm also extremely so I don't know if I made this up or not, but I was talking to a buddy of mine like 3 weeks ago. I think I discovered a new layer of business ownership or entrepreneurship or hospitality. And I know that I'm in the business of people, but now I realize I'm in the business of avoiding inconveniences.
Okay.
I walk into my restaurants and I look at tables and I look at everything that could possibly go wrong and I just go ahead and knock it out before anybody even notices. Like if I notice that a family of two is coming in and one of them has a stroller, before they even walk into the door, I'll just go run to the back. I'll make a table. I'll remove the seats and I'll make it somewhere where they're comfortable just to come on in. And I'll tell my because we're fast casual, right? And we're like, hey man, when they come in, I'm gonna go ahead and set up the waters and let them know to take a seat instead, and we'll take the order at the table. So before they even walk in, they're already getting table service, expecting to order at the register.
Right.
Or even when I bring out a bunch of food and I know my person over ordered, man, just go ahead and give them a box and a bag and just be ahead of the game, like an
Right.
inconvenience type of mindset. Um, what's another one that we do? Just the refilling water cups, man. That is so easy. And most restaurants and bars don't even do that. Leave a water cup. Let it be the first touch of engagement. Hi, thank you for being here. Here's the water and here's a menu. Because some people tend to sit down by themselves before they even realize that they got to go order. And that's just the
Right.
best way to introduce yourself. Um, what's another one that I did? I got a bunch of kids that come in and I'll share something deep that happened to me yesterday. But same thing with parents. Their kids can be little monsters at times. So it's my job to just like it's my job to make parents as comfortable as possible because some parents might be like, oh, my kids are a ruckus. Let's sit outside or no, my job is to make them feel welcomed, all of them welcomed.
Right.
But also then you have your wrong moments. And I like last night, I had a group of people that were way too loud for the establishment because we are kind of small and it was making everybody else get up and leave. And and then it puts you in a position, right? Because then it kind of you're either take care of one group or you fail the other group
Right.
because it's a win and lose situation, a lose situation, honestly. And I ended up losing big time. I had to go to the table and like respectfully so. I look like an idiot, but I'm like out of this party of 18 because they were all standing. Who's the host? Who's the organizer? And we don't have one. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, can I talk to an adult? Because we're all pretty young. An adult comes out, and I'm like, hey man, please talk to you outside. And I expressed how I felt, and I expressed how what was going on. They didn't like it, and they ended up grabbing their stuff and leaving, and then sending me a message saying that they felt targeted and they were not coming back to my establishment. And at that point, I just have to call my friends, have to call other business owners. Hey, how would you approach this and how would you respond for this? Because that was not my intention. My intention is always to make sure everybody's happy and content and feeling hospitable and comfortable in my establishments. But there is a noise protocol, there is a seating protocol, there's all these things. And sometimes you lose, man. But after figuring out the proper response, I learned how to engage and how to come in a different angle for the next party that does so. Because you know this,
Yeah.
bro. It's not the first person, it's not the first group or the first person that tell me down, and it won't be the last. I'm in
No.
this restaurant for a long term and I got a learning experience. I gotta
I
go a different direction next time.
I think you made personally, I'll just give you my 2 cents on it. Like I think you made the right choice because I think we have to have I think as business operators, we have to have standards for everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? And taking care of like getting a reputation for being loud and unruly, and I can't bring my kids there because there's a bunch of like youngish people who are making too much noise, which is kind of what you described, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's detrimental to like the community that you work to provide for. If you're spending time making sure that like the family with the little kid has a table where the stroller can go, like that's
Mm-hmm.
important, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that just having a standard, whatever it is, right? Like if
Yeah.
money's money, then maybe you keep the 18. But
Yeah.
I think in a world where you're trying to have a business that lasts a long time, I think
Yeah.
that that people have to understand that. And you know, I've seen it happen a million times. You ask the loud, rowdy person who it's like, two big guys are just yucking it up and they've been drinking too much.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, you're gonna need to go. And it's like, oh, do you know who I am? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
honestly I don't care.
Yeah.
So for me, you made the right choice because I think that over time, that unruly stuff, that's just being a bad like community member in my opinion. So
Yeah.
like I say, I think we all have to have our standards, and I think it's standards of food, it's standards of community and behavior, right? Like,
Hmm.
did your mom teach you to act like that to anybody? No.
Yeah.
Your mom would slap you upside the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my mom would. My mom
Yeah.
would just be like, "Come down here," because she's a little tiny,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. My
She'd be
stepmom
like,
is
"Come
too.
down here," and she'd, like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, why are you treating another human being that way?" So, no,
Hmm.
for I give you a lot of credit, like,
Hmm.
and kudos for just being able to say, "Hey, maybe that's not the right choice, or it doesn't feel good." How about that? Like making a choice that
Yeah.
doesn't feel good in the moment.
Yeah. And it
You,
didn't. And I'm telling you, like, I had to sleep on it heavily, and it's just like it sucks because like I want to please everyone.
yeah,
And it hurts me when I disappoint or
right,
I fail. People give me a lot of grace. I'm blessed to be in Birmingham, Alabama, because I I just don't serve tacos, bro. Like I go to a lot of schools and I talk to my fellow Mexicans and browns and blacks and whites and every culture and everybody, and I just and try to inspire everybody into restaurateur or hospitality, because I'm not most people are not going to go to college, or most people don't come from money. So I
right,
also just spend my time just going out there and trying to empower people. And I think people just only most people that follow my restaurants only believe that that's the only thing that I do. Like, I know I live and breathe community as well. So it hurts when I fail a certain person or a certain community because I don't know how to pull back. But like my friends telling me, hey, just apologize, breathe it in, let it go, don't live in it. I'm entitled to that emotion, but my whatever behavior comes out of it is not acceptable. So I'm just like, yeah,
right.
you're correct, and then we keep it moving and just learn from it.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
and I think that accepting the fact that not everybody knows how to behave
Yeah.
is what I have had to learn. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
like I can't control them, but I can
Yeah.
control how I react to it, and I can
Yes.
control, the things that matter to me. And what matters to me is that we as human beings treat each other well,
Yeah.
right? We
Absolutely.
talk about hospitality, and I think this is like one of my pet peeves. Um, it is like and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you've probably got this right, but like there's so many people who are like they do fine dining or they do such amazing service, and then like they pass through the back doors and they're like yelling and screaming at people, and it's like how is that like that
I-
feels out of balance to me. Like
Yeah.
for me, hospitality is like this omnidirectional, like it shouldn't have a front or a back. It shouldn't be left or right. It should be in every single direction. And it's like,
Hmm.
how do I make that line cook who is clearly having a bad day? How do I help he or she, right? Like just get through the day. It's like, what do you need? I need a few minutes and a glass of water. Then here's your glass of water and go take 5 minutes and I don't know, call your mom or call your sister
Yeah.
or call your kid and make sure that they got home from whatever that may be. But like,
Hmm.
how do we take care of each other? Because at the end of the day, it's like, what are we? We're just a bunch of people trying
Yeah.
to trying to get through, you know?
Figure it out. We're
Um,
all still trying to figure it out.
but
Mm.
I am always just blown away by some of the old fashioned restaurant stuff where it's just like we're super nice and we're like kissing people's ass and then we turn around and we like
You hate them.
stop becoming that, and we just hammer on
Hmm.
on our people, right? How
Hmm.
backward is that? Like those are my people. Like they work
Hmm.
for me, but yet I'm gonna treat them with less than respect.
Oh, absolutely. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, just drives me crazy. You know,
Hmm.
uh, like the book that is everywhere right now is Unreasonable Hospitality,
Yep.
right? And I
Hmm.
think that your when you were talking about that layer of hospitality that is like f fighting the inconvenience, I think a lot
Hmm.
of what you're talking about is that unreasonable hospitality thing. Like, what is the next thing I can do to make people feel welcome and that they belong,
Hmm.
and um and I've been talking to people going, that's all great. All of those things are amazing. But what about how we turn around and treat the people who are making that for us? Right?
Exactly.
Because if you're not doing that, are you really being hospitable?
Exactly.
You
You're
know?
not. You're not.
Um,
It's so it's just and
yeah.
it goes back to like I said earlier. It's just like that culture and that mindset of putting everyone together and grabbing the team, and especially now, man, like in this political climate, I do have a majority Latino based team, and it's just like, hey, like we're in all this together. Like I'm here to help you. I got the resources, but we cannot live in fear. Like this is who we are. As especially I'm very driven because of my immigrant mentality. And my curiosity is sparked because of my immigrant mentality, and we are blessed to be in a country with all of these resources and opportunities and blessings, because I can't do what I do in Mexico, man. Like, take me back to Mexico City. There are hundreds of me there. And that's a challenge, but there's only 4 or 3 of me here in Birmingham. So I'm going to stay here and knock it out as much as I can.
Buddy, you're a banker in a frontier town.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard that story? Like
No.
they ask, like, how do you create generational wealth? You become the person that has money in a place where there isn't any,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And so you think about like the old West, and you think of like one guy would go in and he'd have a little bit of money and he'd loan it to people, and he's the banker, and now all of a sudden it's like it comes back to him, and that
Uh-huh.
he grows, the town grows. He grows, the
Yeah.
town grows. Banker in a
Yeah.
frontier, right? Like
Nice.
it's that, like, you have the opportunity to spread your style of hospitality across people. Like when you've got cooks, and you've got, I assume, managers and assistant managers or supervisors, and if they learn how you do business and they go, wow, I like the way I feel when I do this, it carries on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking recently about like the idea of the true idea of culture and how it gets handed down. And I think about your parents and your grandparents and my parents and grandparents, and I have grandparents that came from the Ukraine in like World War I.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my mother's parents came up out of Mexico, and they were migrant pickers. In fact, they were the folks who were doing the lemons and limes and avocados, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my grandmother used to tell a story, and one day I started to put things together, and I was like, "Are you really telling me that you live next door to Richie Valence's mom?" And she's like, "Yeah, that was his name." And I was like, "Man, okay." And so you start to understand, it's like migrant pickers coming up. They would come up for a while, go back, come up, and then
Mm-hmm.
at some point they'd get enough money to like get out of the camps, and then they'd go. And it's like all of that to say that, like, long story longer becomes, how do we do things in our life? We pass it down to our kids, right? And I think that, also think about Native American cultures, and a lot of indigenous cultures where everything is handed from the elders to the to
Yep.
the mainstream down to the kids, like the mainstream being the adults, right? And like, how does that get passed? And in my personal opinion, the little things we hold in our hands all day have eroded a whole lot of that, like, generational community, because
Yes.
we're just focused on this thing, for better or worse. Like, I have two of them, right? I have my work phone and my home phone, and
Mhm.
I use them both, and I'm in it all the time. But I'm also really cognizant of, like, am I conveying ideas that are important to me, to whether they are my customers or my friends, or just somebody who I meet on the street and we connect about something. Like, am I conveying like the things that matter, right?
Yeah.
Because that ultimately is culture, right? Not just
Yeah.
business culture, but like, how do cultures come down? And you know it's the generational, well, back in my day. Well, hell yeah, back in your day, things
Yeah.
have changed in the last 3, 4, 5, 10 generations, right? Every generation
Hmm.
says the next one's shit.
Yeah.
Well, whose fault is it, is all I gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's there. Here's one thing for sure. There's definitely there should never be a blame game, and there should never be a victim mindset or anything like that. It should always just be like owning your own generation as best as you can. Like like I can't blame my like my father. And it's just something that I read about a month ago. And it hit me, like it really hit me. I'm like, oh my God, like my dad and my stepmother and my mother that's now back in Mexico will be the last generation of Mexicans that migrated here. Like everybody else, all these new Mexicans were born here. Like there will never be another wave of high spirited, high working class, not working, but high like work ethic. I mean, stronghold, disciplined Mexican women and males again. Like someone's calling me. Um, they're just not going to exist. And I was blessed that I still have that like that Mexican root in me because I know that I am still full blooded Mexican and I was born in Mexico, and that's what really pushes me to keep being more in this country. But I'm still rooted in Mexico. I know I'm going to work really hard and make some money, but I'm going to get out of here when I'm a little bit older, man, and continue exploring. And because I'm curious, like, what more can I do into my 50s and 60s with the knowledge and with these hands that I have, you know?
Right.
So I hope that I can leave some crumbs behind for this new generation. But you just said it best. This new generation is just locked on into their phones, into TikToks, into Instagrams, and they don't understand that once they really hit this real world, they better be wearing a helmet, man. You know,
Yeah.
I applaud the Latinos that went to school and are doctors and were doing this or that, but I don't mind saying it. They're gonna miss that 10% of like Mexican fire that runs in our
Mhm.
veins of like sink or swim, sink or swim, sink or swim, because
Yeah.
they were born here. And so no matter what happens, they're okay. But as a Mexican, it's not. We don't have anything back home. So we gotta work it, brother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, uh, I was just having a conversation yesterday with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about the difference between like Mexican employees, Mexican American employees, and then just like plain old white dumb white kids, right? And it's like what are the things, and it's stunning when we start to talk about like the the Latinos that come from another country, whether it's Mexico or El Salvador or Guatemala or what, pick it, right? They come up and like their ability to say, get it done is just, it's like, and the crazy thing, it's like, it just makes me draw this huge breath and like stop and think. And the only thing that I can tell you that becomes like this detractor is they don't know how to not struggle. And so it's for me, it's like balancing the struggle of working hard with this is how you work smarter. This is how you really leverage what you have,
yeah,
right? And my friend is Hawaiian, born and raised, and so he looks to me and he goes, I don't have a whole lot of Latino friends. He goes, but I manage a bunch of Latinos. Help me understand, and so we just started breaking it all down, and I was like, there's a point where you will never get somebody who's going to struggle harder than somebody that doesn't have like you just said, doesn't have a fallback plan. Like they're gonna push, but when they push, they have to understand that at some point it doesn't have to hurt, right?
yeah, yeah,
It doesn't have to hurt.
absolutely.
Like he started looking at his ordering processes across these four restaurants, and he goes, "Wait, so I call this person and that person, but I didn't realize that they're both on days off, and so they just pick up the phone and call the next person in the chain who's actually at the restaurant." He goes, "So I started calling them directly because I now know." He says,
Yeah,
he goes, "But the middle people, they're like, oh no, we got it." And I was like, "No, no, you're right on the money. You gotta
yeah,
you gotta give them permission to take the day off."
exactly,
And he
exactly.
goes, "I can't believe it. Why do they do that?" I'm like, "Because they don't know. They just know that it's got to get done, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll do it. It's not a big deal." I
Mm-hmm.
said, "But you need to, the way you reinforce that is to when they come back from their day off, find out what they did on their day off that made them happy and
Yeah,
make them live in that for a minute. And then they'll go, "Oh, I enjoy that. I didn't have to take a phone call."
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's culture is one of my favorite discussions, always, and whether it be restaurants or whether it become just sort of the greater world.
Yeah.
Hey Chuy, thank you so much for coming to play with me. Like
Yeah, man.
hearing what you've done and your story and how you do it and just the care you take for it really um, makes me pretty excited for the world, right?
Yeah, man.
Because I think that in this day and age, it's really easy to get bitter and I know I find myself sitting with my wife and we're just like, fuck everybody, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
it's
know.
wonderful to hear. I mean, you know it, you feel it, like
It's a
it's
lot. It's
it's easy
heavy.
to get there, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for. I just want to say thank you for coming to play in my little sandbox of the world that is Culinary
Yeah.
Mechanic.
It was fun.
And
Yeah.
in the show notes, I'm going to make sure that we can find you. I know that I've got your web addresses and whatnot. I'll make sure that your email's in there. And to all you out there, thank you so much for playing with us and listening. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you next time.
Thank you for having me, brother. Have a good afternoon.
You've been listening to Culinary Mechanic. This show exists to help you lead with more clarity, build systems that actually work, and create a kitchen culture worth showing up for. If this episode helped you move even one step in that direction, do me a favor, leave a quick review. It helps more chefs and operators stop the chaos and start leading with intention.